How to invest as a 13-year-old. So we have lots to say about this. In my book, Make Your Kids Millionaires, I talk about, 0 to 5, 6 to 8. What do you do age by age appropriate? 13, you got a lot to talk about because I think at 13, they're not an adult, but they're a teenager. They got 5 years to adult. So parents, get a pen and paper. This one is important. And those of you that are 13, share this with tons of your friends because y'all should be making a ton of money. You get to design your paycheck when I'm done with this conversation. So the first thing we'll talk about is how do you get this business started as a teenager? Then we want to talk about as you make the money, how do you keep it, which parents that are going to be including you. And if you are out there watching this and you're 13 and your parents aren't supporting you, then I'll give you some workarounds. And then the last one is making sure that the money you make is actually got some smart investment choices. So that's a whole different kind of education. I have some software to help you out and just all financial literacy. I mean, you hear your parents, you hear adults all the time, you 13-year-olds, you teenagers, no matter how old you are, say either your parents don't talk about money. Like we never talked about money in our family. I mean, I do to my children, but in my family, my parents didn't talk about money. I don't know that their siblings talked about money. I would bet a lot of you, your parents don't talk about money. So therein lies the problem. And then the next excuse is, well, I have mindset issues or I have such a fear or risk around money. Money is just a transactional currency, right? It's like an energy. It flows in and out. So the more you make, the more you invest, the more you make, the more you invest, the more you're going to get, and just keeps going. It's the hoarding. It's the not, allowing debt, not using credit properly. And really the base of it, all of you teens, it is lack of financial literacy. It's the lack of knowledge. It has nothing to do with anything else than money's not taught, right? Look at your schooling. It's not taught. I don't believe the school system is where it should be taught. It's right here on this YouTube channel. So before we get into my topics, I want you to subscribe to the channel. I want you here 5 days a week. I want you to click that notification button. If you feel like some of the conversations are advanced, make a note in your journal and just say, at 15 and 18, I'm going to readdress this, but just know that you're starting to build some chapters in your life. And this teenage years is a great chapter. I started my first company at 17 and started making a lot of money. All of you can do it. So let's talk about that. So how do you get a business started? What are you good at? And those of you that are teenagers, I wouldn't get just isolated unless you really, really know you want to just go down one track and say, be a digital marketer or be a good, videographer, shoot film, shoot photography, write copy, build websites. Like if you're in digital marketing, you probably got a lifetime career and a very lucrative one. But if you just don't know what you want to do and you have lots of interests, then explore them. Like there's so many ways to make money. And what's fun is even your best hobbies and things you love to do, you can make money. Those of you who love Minecraft and a lot of the games, you can get paid to be a big gamer. And it is a thing. And I know parents don't like that their kid's going to be a gamer because it was never a thing in our era. It's a thing. There are certain awards on online gaming platforms. The risk is you're going to be solicited over to the gambling world, which that gets a little riskier. But like I know we've had students win $250,000 for winning some games in New York. So there's a lot to it. So just pick what you like. If you like to babysit, then be a nanny. Don't babysit anymore. If you want to add revenue, you're not just watching the kids. You might have to watch the animals. You might have to clean the house. You might have to do some cooking. So the more you do, the more you should be making. It's not just a flat whatever it is in your area of what a babysitter makes. So what else do you like to do? Maybe you just go dog walking. Dog walking is extremely lucrative. So whatever you like to do, we're going to build a business around it. Now, parents, this is where they have to come in. You cannot have a company in any country of the world until you're 18 years old. So if you are under 18, guess who's going to start the company? The LLC, probably, or an S Corp or a C Corp in America. Depends on the company, depends on the country, depends on what you're going to do. So your parent is going to have to get it until you're 18, and then you get to acquire it from them. So they're actually you're both going to be on. So you can be on the documents of owning the company. You just can't own it because you're not 18 as a legal adult with a social security number that actually is a taxable number. So as a sub 18-year-old, you could make this year $12,550 or so without having to do a tax return. But the minute you make more than that, then you find you're going to get into taxation. Then if you're not a company, as I teach the principles of corporate life, you can't deduct things. So if you're doing technology and you don't have a company, see, your company should be paying for your phone. Your company should be paying for this camera. Your company should pay for those lights. So you say, well, how do we do that? Your parent starts the company, puts you in the company. Then you get a bank account, and yes, you get to be on the bank account. And you get credit cards for the company. You get all of this. You set like you're an adult, even though you're 13 years old. It's going to start building credit. Now, your parent or the 18-year-old or higher than 18, 20, 30, 40-year-old, they're going to get the corporate credit. They're going to get the personal credit. They're going to get the boost. right? By making and spending money in the company. But at 18, I can promise you, you're going to walk in and get the best credit score, and you're going to have an ability to acquire an amazing amount of funding because you've got 5 years of financial history of being money in, money out, meaning you're going to pay the right expenses. So I can tell you that's the structure of it. What you do doesn't really matter as long as it's legal and ethical. It's just about making money and designing your monthly income. So instead of, paying allowance, what could you do to design your income? Do you want to make 1,000 this month, 10,000 this month, 4,000 this month? Just because you're 13, 14, 15-year-old doesn't mean you can't make money. In fact, I have teenagers that make way more money. Now, number two, where do you keep it? You're going to keep it in that company structure. Where do you invest it? You're going to invest it either in iFlip, which is a software, so it's not giving you advice. So as you make the money in the company can either have an iFlip account or you can have an iFlip account. I'd encourage it to be the company so you don't have any taxes on that money. So you're going to make it, you're going to put a bunch away. And under 18, I'd encourage you to really think about putting 50% away. If you can do it, live on say 20, 25%, 30%, maybe even 40. Give 10 to charity, put 50 into an investment account. The other tool is GravyStack. So these two softwares, I own them. I love them. This is how you can design grit and missions and gigs and design a huge monthly income, use a debit card that affects your credit. But then the company one affects your adult credit until you are an adult. Now, if I've said all this really, really fast, I know it like the back of my hand. I raise my kids this way. And I have given my kids credit cards at around your age. So yes, it's in my name, but you have a card with a certain limit that you can use, and it's very allocated to spend for certain things. I typically use that for emergencies, for extra foods, things that I'd be buying anyway, where they don't have to come back and forth and ask the parent. So parents are not the bank. You are your own bank now. Design your own income. I challenge you teenagers to make 15, 20, 25,000 this year. It'd be one heck of a year and you would be on a path to be a millionaire. So if you've enjoyed this, again, make sure you stay here every day, subscribe to the channel, click that notification button, share it with a bunch of your friends so you're not out here just doing this by yourself. If there's any topics you want me to talk about specifically to you, just put it in the comments and I'll be right back here tomorrow and we're going to continue this conversation. For those of you, again, lack of knowledge, lack of financial literacy, it's be here 5 days a week as number one, then dig into my books. For you teenagers, I'd start with The Millionaire Maker. That's really everybody. But then skip over and jump to Put More Cash in Your Pocket. Then go to the Cash Machine books. So that's the order for teenagers to read my books. You can always do the rest of them later. Make Your Kids Millionaires is, of course, a big, broad book. So that's just really a guidebook you're going to keep going back to. 87 things you need to be doing between 0 and 20 years old. Just make sure you stay on track. Make it a commitment year after year to get more knowledge about money. Go tell your parents to join the table and be a mentor. So if I'm their mentor, and be a mentee. If I'm their mentor and they're a client, you go free. For the rest of your life, you never have to pay for this education from me or my organization. So let's go, kids. Let's recruit those moms and dads. Okay, talk to you tomorrow. Have an amazing day.